Reds. It is Talking Reds with me, Gareth Roberts. I've got Paul Senior with me this morning to talk about Liverpool's game against Aston Villa on Saturday, 3 o'clock. In ordinary times, of course, Liverpool would not be playing this game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday because it is also the Grand National. But the Grand National with no crowd. And a game at Anfield with no crowd. But we all know about it being a bit shit. So, you know what? Shut up, Gareth. So yeah, Paul, how are you feeling about this Villa game? Because I don't know about you, but I woke up this morning and I thought, I really can't be bothered today to talk about the notion of revenge when I watched that Madrid match the other night, and we all talked about revenge for that, and there was very little evidence of looking for revenge in one of the poorest first halves of the season, I think, from Liverpool there.
I've never seen our lads as the revenge type, if I'm honest with you. You know, I think they're very professional, sort of good characters. You know, you always see that sort of like they're always the sons that you take back to your ma sort of thing. The ones if you've got a daughter, if they brought Gini Wijnaldum home, you'd be like, oh well, what a lovely boy. I'm not sure they'd be like 90s Fergie. If you beat them, they'd go and get revenge. They'd leave a tackle on you. So when all that Madrid stuff, you know, oh, are we going to get revenge from the Kiev final? I was looking at her going, I'm not even sure that'll be in their mind. I don't think there's a motivation for that. So a 7-2 against Villa, and if they can't get revenge or look like they want revenge against Madrid for the Champions League final, then I don't think the Villa game will do the Red in all that much.
Yeah, kicking the revenge idea away then. They do just need to win. Need to win, obviously, for the hopes of top four. Win also to just get this sort of Anfield hoodoo off our backs, really. And then, of course, we have got the second leg of the Madrid match next week. And to tee that up, you would think they've got to win against Villa at home. Obviously, the situation at home has been really poor. 12 defeats this season, 10 since the turn of the year, and 7 of those 12 defeats have been at Anfield, which is just, you know, mind-boggling, really. And the last win at Anfield was in December when we beat Tottenham in front of some fans. So it's all a bit weird. It will be weird again. Is there anything where you're waking up this morning thinking about the Reds and going, well, there's this? Do you know what I mean? Have you got anything for us, Paul? Come on.
Well, it's the Arsenal game, really, isn't it? That's the positive you can take. Is, you know, you could go and play great against Real Madrid in a week and lose. And don't get me wrong, we didn't go to Madrid and play great, and we deserved to get beat. But I thought we were finding a bit of momentum in the league. I thought we'd given ourselves a sort of team to build around. Now, when we were going into the Madrid game in the week, I thought it would be different because when you were talking about putting Benzema around Nat Phillips, I didn't really fancy it, and that wasn't a sort of slight on it. It was more of he's they're very technical. Where I think we're back to the bread and butter at the weekend, where I think Nat Phillips can deal with Watkins. You know, I think.
Pacey though, isn't
he? He is pacey, but you know, you can give him 10 yards, you can do the basics. And I think Nat Phillips is good at doing the basics, where I think Karim Benzema will beat you in his head. So the different footballers, I think Liverpool are more motivated for the league, which is interesting. I didn't see the sort of levels of determination that you've seen in the Arsenal game. They seem very focused what they're doing in the league. Now, don't get me wrong, both finishing top four or winning the Champions League will give us what we want, and it's Champions League qualifications. Don't get me wrong, the trophy would always be nice in the Champions League, but for the long-term gains of this club, we need to be playing Champions League football, and I would be prioritising the league from here on in.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this Anfield thing, you know, it's the last. I think it's the last 9 wins now are all away from Anfield, and it's undoubtedly a thing now. And like I say, it's not going to change on Saturday. There's still not going to be any fans there. It's still going to be weird, and you still think the record we've currently got there, and the teams that have come to Anfield and won will be giving Aston Villa a bit of a boost. One thing that's being discussed in the press today, there's a couple of pieces kicking around, but there's one in The Athletic, is Sadio Mane's form. 3 goals in 23 league games now. He had a really frustrating night against Madrid. There's some defence of him in the piece, and there has been generally from Liverpool and Liverpool's staff, the manager, about sort of unfair treatment from referees at times. And obviously there was the situation the other night where in the build-up to Madrid's goal, there was a clear push on him, and he looked really frustrated about that. But I think he got too frustrated is the problem, and this is what we're seeing over and over, isn't it? He looks like he's in his own head. Like, I mean, you know, James Pearce's piece on The Athletic really digs into the stats, but the headline figures really, aside from the lack of goals, it's 12 this season, and 2 of them were against Aston Villa's kids. He's dribbling more, he's shooting more, and those aren't necessarily good things, because there is the old classic of it. It's like he's trying too hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? So it's mad to think. You think they would be a positive statistic, but I can sort of understand it. It's almost like a desperation thing, or I'm gonna sort this myself. And you know, you see that especially at the sort of lower end of the spectrum is when a football team has got an outstanding player and he sort of give up faith in what's around him. You start trying to like just have pot shots or just try and take everyone on themselves, whereas that really isn't the way to be doing things. So the thing with Mane is I don't think he's normally the most. This is weird. He's not normally the most creative, so his assist stats aren't the best. Where you'd see like Salah would be goals and assists, Firmino predominantly assists and some goals, but Mane was just pure goals, really, and especially if you look at his things from last year. And he's got more assists this year than I think he got in the whole of last. But you know, he gets best part of 20 goals last season. So for me, there looks like there's problems with Mane. And now I don't know if it is in his head, but he does seem to have sort of fallen off a cliff from what was last season. Obviously, an unbelievable season for him. I'd like to think that's a mental thing rather than a downturn in ability, but there has been some concerning signs with him, I must say.
Yeah, he is one of the players who's played a phenomenal amount of football as well. So, you know, this season for Liverpool alone, 39 games so far. Last season, 47, 50. The season before, 44. The season before that. He's just played consistently over and over again. And I do remember him doing an interview actually where he was asked about sort of fatigue because he'd been playing for club and country, and then he was playing stuff in the summer, and I think it was before a Liverpool friendly, and he was just like, well, it's all in the head, you know what I mean? And he was obviously referencing how the manager must manage them about that kind of things, but it's not all in the head though, is it? No. I mean, you know, if we all go running for however long and then we come home we're knackered, to put it basically. So he does look like one of them. I think Robertson's another one. You know, you look at certain players around the team where you just think, they look goosed. Do you know what I mean? They look like they played too many minutes. They need the rest. They need the recharge. And look, I don't want to be all doom and gloom on this, but I've heard a lot of Liverpool fans already talking about, well, next season, you know what I mean? Sort of throwing their hat in on this one. I do wonder whether some of the players might be thinking the same way, because for all that there's chink of lights, you know, we can save this, we can do this, we can beat Real Madrid, we can get top 4. There is, with everything else that's going on in the world as well, a bit of a about everything, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, those chink of lights can vanish very quickly. 2 bad results and you can undo everything you've done. And you know, we almost had the perfect weekend in terms of results with all the people around us dropping points and whatnot. You've got to capitalise on them. Liverpool need to put they've got to put a run of wins together. They can't afford to slip up. And Aston Villa at home, you know, you can say what you like about the fixture, but Liverpool need to win. That's it. I don't care how they do it, what fashion they do it in. I can't believe that the last game that all of us went to Anfield at, we're about to become champions. It's, you know, it was Champions League quarter final, was it? Atletico Madrid.
Last March.
Full ground, best team in the world. When you're going back in the ground, you can't be a Thursday night Europa League team. You know, that can't happen in the space of 12 months. Liverpool were 97 and 99 points. Not getting Champions League football. You can sort of go, it's a strange season, but it's going to do some fucking damage, and that's a problem. You know, you can't. I don't know if you're talking about keeping Wijnaldum. Well, he's going, but if you're on the conversation with him, stick around for another year, Genie, we need you. I'm not sticking around to play Europa League football. So Real Madrid or Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain come in for Salah or whatever. Well, I've won everything here, haven't I? They've got to get out of jail card, and also I'm not playing Europa League football, and that's a concern for me. The target that you've got in, I don't know, the lad from Leipzig, someone with Champions League football comes in for him, it might turn his head. No matter how good we've been for the last couple of years, it counts for fuck all. It's only what's ahead and what they're going to be participating in that matters. Don't get me wrong. I think we'll remedy this next season, but this season really matters, and this game against Aston Villa really matters, and 3 points really, really matter, and we need to stop shrugging it off, because it's not. It's this season, although it is strange and none of us are in the ground, you can't just shrug it off, because it can affect what you're going to do for the next 5 in terms of recruitment or keeping older players, just a general mood around the club. It's not a good look for Liverpool to be playing Europa League football. It isn't.
No, absolutely. And look, Villa will be no mugs. They've had some good results this season, but recent form is not the best, really. I mean, the most recent game they'd be Fulham. Before that, they were beaten 2-0 at Spurs. They drew with Newcastle. They drew with Wolves, and they got beat by Sheffield United. Jack Grealish has been missing for 7 games, and the reports this morning that the shin problem that's kept him out is still a problem, and that he won't play. And that's yet to be confirmed. There hasn't been a Villa press conference as yet. But that would be good, wouldn't it? If we're looking for positives, it'd be sound if he did one. Because I mean, he's scored 7 and got 12 assists for Villa this season. Whatever you think of Jack Grealish, and he does obviously divide opinion over everything, over his football and skills and over him as a person, but he's massive to Villa, isn't he? And in that game back in October, the 7-2, the one where we still got PTSD about, he was taking the piss in that game, which is what really annoyed me. I was like, okay, we're getting beat, and we're getting beat convincingly, but when he's like putting it through people's legs and stuff like that, and showboating, someone just needs to go and put him in the stand.
Yeah. Well, listen, it doesn't divide my opinion. I think he's fantastic. Really good footballer.
I like him as well.
Easy on the eye. Would be, if City and United are in for him in the summer, I'd be questioning why we're not. I think, he can play in the front 3, he can play in the midfield 3. I think he'd be great for us. That aside, I don't want to see him play against us. They're a much better team with him, and I think if you're talking about the results there, Gareth, that they have had over the last 6 or 7 games that he's been out, then you can see the downturn. I was talking earlier about teams that rely on one player. I don't think they're quite a one-man team, but by God, they're better with him. So, and I think most teams in this league will be better with Jack Grealish. So, I think he's a fantastic footballer. But don't particularly want to see those low shot socks at Anfield on Saturday.
Another fella that I imagine, and look, people might say this is harsh, but here we are. I'm imagining you don't want to see Keita starting on Saturday either.
No. I mean, I've been quite a vocal critic of Naby Keita in the past. But to be fair, I think when he's played in recent months, when he's been fit, I think he's been quite impressive, and I think he was quite unfortunate that he got brought in at the weekend, and he has been made a bit of a scapegoat. Don't get me wrong, he was dreadful, but he wasn't the only one.
It was odd, I thought, to hook him when he did, just because that obviously makes it worse, and it makes it a bigger story, I think.
I think it was bigger picture stuff. I don't think the manager's done that in terms of killing him. I don't think he's that that sort of manager. He's not petty enough. I think he'd have hooked him earlier if he could have. I think the optics of it maybe would have been, something. You look at Hansi Flick, in their game against Paris Saint-Germain the week, he's making changes based on the way things are going, and no one's talking about Leon Goretzka getting substituted, who's been integral to what Bayern Munich have been doing over the last few years. So, listen, I think the manager's done what's best for the football team. Then we brought Thiago on and things got better. Yeah. That's not to say Naby Keita's Liverpool career's over. I'd like to have seen more from him. I actually said, I thought he'd picked the right team in terms of putting Keita on, because I thought he'd thrown a cat amongst the pigeons in terms of pressing. I thought him and Jota were brought in to press. But I touched on it earlier. The technical ability of the Spanish sides is generally greater than those of the English sides anyway. And we just look like, a load of determined kids trying to chase the adults, and it didn't work, So when you brought Thiago on, his absolute quality shone through, didn't it? And he did make a bit of a difference for a period in the game. Would I start Keita tomorrow? No. Would I rule him out from playing in other games for the rest of the season? I don't think you can do that.
In terms of what else is on the Anfield Wrap currently, if you don't want to sort of listen to the football chat, there is other chat on there as well. So John Gibbons has interviewed Chris O'Dowd, who is also a Liverpool fan, and actually heard himself being slagged off on the Anfield Wrap and got in touch.
Nice.
So that's how that interview came about.
Was it you, Gareth?
It wasn't me, mate, no. It wasn't me for once.
Makes a change, yeah.
Also out there is the Friday show, looking at this weekend's fixtures. The Weekender, which is free, is also out there as well, talking about the weekend's games, Liverpool's game as well, in detail. So there's loads of stuff out there as well. There is also, I don't know how to explain it to people that have never heard it, but there is also Ben Johnson's Agony Hour out there as well. You're just going to have to listen to it. I've got no way to sell it, to be honest with you. It's just one of those mad things about the Anfield Wrap that people like, but you probably can't explain to someone in the pub. There is also, if you wanted to, you can go back and listen to the review podcast as well, where Neil Atkinson, Sean Rodgers and Stu Wright get into detail about what Liverpool did wrong and can maybe put right in midweek and then into this Villa game. So, Paul, thanks for coming on this morning. I know it's not the easiest time to be chatting about the Reds, but hopefully they give us something to smile about this weekend. Should we finish with a prediction? What are you saying?
I think we'll get back to winning ways. 3-1.
Is right, lad. Is right. I'll take that. Any win at all. Just fucking win, Liverpool. Check out the AnfieldWrap.com. Up the Reds.